There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Salty.
I'm Cam. Gentlemen, how are we?
Going?
Good. I'm a little bit out of sorts, Cam.
Why are you so out of sorts?
Because I have your screen name.
That's all right. I've put my screen name as your screen name.
And I'm just me.
It just legitimately threw me off a little bit when I went to start. It's like, wait a minute.
Had a little identity crisis logging in as me.
We almost didn't have a podcast this week.
Technical issues.
Isn't it interesting that as soon as Salty got the jab, suddenly our internet started playing up?
Oh, God. I need to move. Should I move my arm away from the computer?
Actually, Salty, are you on Wi-Fi right now?
No.
Are you using internet though?
Yeah,
not your mobile data?
Yeah.
Maybe flick over, get on that 5G.
We'll be
boost
fine.
off the chip in your arm.
Jeez, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, that could be the problem. Your 5G coming out of your arm is so strong that it's messing with your internet.
It's overpowering the normal internet. I think you're onto something.
It's just science, really.
So 2/3 of this podcast are now vaccinated.
Well, I'm only half vaccinated.
We're half vaccinated. So 1/3 of this podcast is vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have a holdout. Anti-vaxxer Robertson.
What jab did you get?
I got the AstraZeneca.
Oh, shit.
Really? They gave you AstraZeneca?
Yeah.
You got that. You got yours before it was like, actually, hold on, we should give everyone under 50 Pfizer, right?
Yeah, I got like 5 minutes before they said we're not going to give you AstraZeneca anymore.
Did someone come screaming in? No. And they're like, never mind.
I was just sitting there like covered in clots.
Can you also get the Pfizer now?
Apparently it's better if you get a combo.
Yeah. Right. I'll take that. Look, I'm not going to tell them if I rock up and they're like, "Oh, here's your Pfizer," I'll be like, "All right, load me up with all of them." I'm going to have I'll have the AZ, I'll have the Pfizer, I'll have the Moderna, I'll have these dodgy knockoff ones they're telling people not to buy off the internet.
I'd get into the Cuban one that's going around.
Cuban one?
Yeah, get some of the good Cuban shit.
They've got it worked out over there.
Will you go the Johnson & Johnson one and done?
Oh, imagine that. I can't imagine what it would be like.
Bang. One. That's it.
Still not eligible over here.
What's the time frame, Salty, for between your Pfizers?
21 days.
That's not very long. See, the AstraZeneca is like 12 weeks, which doesn't seem like a long time, but it's actually a very long time.
Yeah, see, that sounds like too long.
You're trying to avoid catching a deadly virus.
Yeah. My secret wish is that this lockdown gets extended another 2 weeks so that I can't go anywhere, so I can't potentially get this fucking new strain that apparently now they're saying you can catch by just brushing past someone with it.
Yeah, I know that the guy said it in the media today, but the community transmission's been very low for how many exposure sites.
Well, community transmissions that we know about.
Yeah, fair.
Here we go. Let's not listen too much to anti-vaxxer Robertson.
For people not in our state, I am currently ineligible for the vaccine. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
It's some weird thing that they brought in this rule that if you're too handsome, you can't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't get it.
So, I mean, I think I'm going to be, I don't know, on my deathbed.
Yeah, last in line.
Yeah. Oh, no, now you're eligible. I'm like,
I think we're probably going to find that they're going to just roll it out to anyone pretty quickly.
Yeah, if they don't, it's looking like 2022.
Yeah.
Cool.
They'll have to do it, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, that makes sense that the most social member of this podcast will be the last to be vaccinated.
It's not like I have any major events to be an integral part of between now and, I don't know, very soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about vaxxers today. Today we're talking about another area of the discourse. In fact, we're going to be talking about the UFO discourse, which has been popping off.
Yeah.
UFOs are we're basically at disclosure now, aren't we?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, we have been since 2017 or something, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
When that video first came out.
Do you think that when someone read the top secret CIA document about UFO disclosure, it actually just said we're going to have UFO discourse, and they've misread it? And so disclosure's been around the corner for all of these years, when in actual fact what they meant was that people were just going to go on and on about UFOs.
Yeah.
So I guess other than the three videos that we've talked about, the Tom DeLonge ones, which we talked about in 2017.
Yeah. So we've talked about these a bit back before the Patreon. We talked about them on the main show. Every now and then we've talked about this on the Patreon news show because the same three videos keep coming up again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because the Pentagon keep on milking it for publicity, where they're like, oh yeah, no, we're confirming that they're real, and then 2 months later, okay, we have confirmed that they're real. The last one was us just saying we were going to.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now we're confirming that they definitely existed.
Yeah. We're confirming that our confirmation was actually confirmed.
Yep.
And we will confirm this confirmation again sometime down the track.
So this latest one, there's been two new videos.
Mm-hmm.
One of them I think is the most compelling or the most interesting is the green triangle flying through the air. Did you guys see that one?
Yeah. Can you describe it to us further than there's a green triangle flying through the air?
Well, it's night vision, so of course it's going to look green.
Yeah.
And it's
from outer space too, where most stuff's green, like little green men.
Absolutely. And it's a triangle just kind of looking like it's just through the sky. And it's a bloody alien.
Are there any Air Forcemen talking over this?
Yeah, what do they say, Cam? What's your memory of that?
I can't remember if it's this one, but there's one of them where they're like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, there's all of them seem to have some sort of people, talking about what's happening. Ah, look at this. Oh, what is it?
What's that? What the heck is that? Gee willikers!
The other one is some sort of sphere disappearing, and they're all. This one they're talking and they're like, "Oh, it splashed down," and it just kind of disappears over the horizon, and they're like, "Oh, it splashed down." You don't see any splash at all. I guess they're just using that as the term of something landing. I guess that's what they say in the military. If something's hit the water, is that?
Yeah, it's splashed down.
Yeah.
Comes from the movie Splash with Daryl Hannah.
Yeah. But in my experience, you kind of need to see a splash in order for it to be a splashdown.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
I just, like to think language should be accurate. Yeah, and it's kind of reignited. Everyone's like, whoa, they're admitting it. They're admitting that aliens are here.
So, that has come out, and there was also a 60 Minutes piece on UFO videos.
Yes.
Specifically these ones that the Pentagon have confirmed as being... They've never actually said, yes, these are confirmed to be aliens or UFOs or anything.
No.
Every single time they've just said, yes, we've confirmed that these are, accurate representations of what was filmed.
Yeah, they're saying that they are real in terms of this is a video that they filmed.
Yeah.
Using some method, some type of camera on some sort of boat or plane, and they don't know what it is in the film.
Yeah.
They're not saying, they're calling them UAPs now.
Yes, an unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Which sucks that they're trying to change it.
Yeah.
Just let it be UFOs. Like, I know that there's probably a lot of connotations with it, and it's probably, harder to report a UFO than it is a UAP. Thinking about, like, what people would think of you. But get over it, military men.
Well, so this is, like, supposedly part of what the Pentagon's reasoning behind confirming this stuff is, which is to remove the stigma from saying you saw some weird shit.
Yeah.
Because in this, in like the 60 Minutes piece, there were people saying, like, I saw this and I thought I probably shouldn't tell anyone I saw this. And that's what people have said before as well. Also, the 60 Minutes piece is all based on, like, the same videos that these same guys are pushing, which is like the people associated with Tom DeLonge and the people associated with, like, the couple of, I think they're senators, like Harry Reid and a couple of others who are tied in with all of this stuff. It's just a couple of people that push it every single time.
One of them, he was on the documentary, the Channel 7 one, which we'll talk about later as well. What's his name? Luis Elizondo, former U.S. Army counterintelligence special agent and former employee of the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. He's on all of them. He's the guy with the goatee.
Because I think he was like the guy that was controlling the 22 million that got thrown at this, right?
Right. That guy, yeah.
He was, like, brought in. He was handling that. Because he's very much into, like, Skinwalker Ranch, which we've done an episode on before.
Yeah. I think that's why his name's familiar to me.
And his dad was involved in the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yeah. So not unlike Jim Morrison.
Yeah, he's just like Jim Morrison.
But yeah, he's very much in the center of all this. It's just the same guys and the same videos over and over again. But yeah, it's interesting that this has really kicked off a round of discourse, which is something we keep on saying. But when you proposed UFO discourse, Robbo, I had no idea, like, just how mainstream all of this UFO chat had become.
UFO chat's always been pretty mainstream, though.
Yeah, but it's like
thinking about the alien autopsy stuff we talked about. That was primetime news and TV in the 90s.
All right, well, maybe not mainstream in that sense, but sort of to be a political, to be an Air Forceman and to say, I saw a UFO, there's some sort of stigma attached to, right? And I think also to be a political commentator and to be like, I believe that there are UFOs, I think until recently, there was quite a bit of stigma attached to.
Yeah.
But after you proposed we talk about the UFO discourse, I sort of, like, organically had come into my feeds, one, Chelsea Manning talking about this stuff. And also, I don't know, there's a show, online show called The Hill, which features, I think their main sort of production is they have, like, a leftist and a right-winger who do, like, a daily news show. It's called The Hill. And the leftist is called Crystal Ball, which seems a little sus. And the right-wing guy is called Sagar something. But anyway, old Crystal was having a day off, and Sagar got onto UFOs, which seemed to be a special subject. I was like, all right, fair enough, it's in the news. And then I, like, looked up their YouTube channel and UFOs, and, like, every time she goes away, he just starts talking about UFOs. But also, it seemed like there's a lot of conspiracy theories about why we are getting all of this UFO chat at the moment. And one of them is that the Pentagon is, like, or the military industrial complex is going for disclosure in order to get funding.
Oh, yeah, it's a cash grab.
Yeah, because if there are, people from another world whose technology far exceeds our own.
We need to defend against it.
Yeah, we need to be able to shoot them down. And so we're going to need to throw some money at the military-industrial complex.
I guess while we're talking about that, I watched some InfoWars about this. And InfoWars is very boring at the moment because it's all just masks and COVID.
Yeah.
But Stephen Greer pops up a couple of times. Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm not saying his medical credentials are dubious, but
what is he a doctor of?
He says he was an emergency doctor, but it's all like the citations on Wikipedia take you to like the Nevada or wherever he's registered website, but it's all self-reported.
Yeah, emergency back adjustment, maybe.
Yeah, he was in. I'm not clear what it was, but it certainly is all self-reported. It's no like website where you can go book an appointment with him to go see the doctor.
Is he a medical doctor?
Yeah, he claims to be. I don't know if he is, but he's been a big UFO guy since like 1990. So like, I don't know when he's got time to do all this doctoring. But he's saying that like this is a false flag, this current disclosure. But he also knows people that are in like these big warehouses underground that are hooked up to electronics, and they put somehow the electronics make them see the demons and then manifest them in the real world, like Stranger Things. And the people that wrote Stranger Things like know this as well, and that's where they got the idea from.
Oh yeah.
So like he's like, this is fake. This actual alien thing isn't fake. Like, let's be rational here, because it's all it's all on the back of COVID, and they're trying to control us. Here's what's real. Completely nuts shit.
Yeah.
He also talks a lot about black magic in it as well. And then he went into some stuff. See, there was a disc recovered from the Nazis by General Patton. There was an anti-gravity disc. This is after the war ended. General Patton and two other guys, I didn't note down their names, recovered this anti-gravity disc and smuggled it back to the US from the Nazis. And that's why General Patton was killed. He wasn't killed in a car accident, as claimed, but he was killed because he stole this disc. Which is a lot to bring into, when your video is titled like, hey, this discourse is fake.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of buried a lot of the leads with your video title on this. And there was another video on InfoWars that says, it was called Warning, the Fake Alien Invasion Threat is Real. So that's obviously contradictory.
Yep.
And the crux of that one was the masks are a test for people to see if they comply. The whole COVID thing, and the people that don't comply will get beamed to death by directed energy weapons.
All right, so put a mask on then.
Yeah, look at this point, masks, if they don't work for COVID, will also help you from being beamed to death.
Also, I feel like the mask test doesn't really, you say you need to wear a mask because of COVID, and for some people, they might be like, I don't believe in COVID. I don't believe in what I can't see. If people are getting laser beamed, like that's sort of a very different level. Like you would only have to laser beam a few people, and before people who don't wear masks would be like, I'll do whatever you want to not get laser beamed. You don't need to set like this really vague test if you have death beams.
You could just start with the laser beams.
Yeah.
Like,
just point a ray gun at me. I'll do what you say.
This is kind of the problem with so many of these theories that, they're going to round us all up and kill us, and this is all a test, and this is just an experiment. Like with all these theories, they have the technology to round us up and kill us already. But for the last 30 or 40 years, they've just been just doing another test.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what's interesting, these two very short videos on InfoWars about this bring in so many more cooked theories than anything else I read, which was kind of a lot of fun. But yeah, that's why InfoWars is saying that it is fake.
So Stephen Greer, had a little look because I was curious. He did have an actual medical degree.
Are you looking on Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Okay, click on the citation.
No, that's all real.
Click on the citation. Where does it take you?
Oh, hang on. Do you know the answer to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the citation is the Virginia Board of Medicine.
Cool. Does it say how it's reported or how that information is collected on that page?
You're very suspicious. No, it's got his medical license, and he's board certified. But here's the thing, right? He gave up. Firstly, he worked at a hospital. I don't know. It doesn't really matter because he's a UFO guy. If he was like a COVID guy saying COVID wasn't real and his credibility came from being a doctor, I would say it's probably not that relevant that he was treating people for like moonshine overdoses or, pulling buckshot out of people's arms.
So
because he's a UFO guy, I don't think it matters that much. He gave up being an emergency room doctor to be a full-time UFO guy, though.
Yeah. So according to this page, unless otherwise indicated, this information has been self-reported and not verified.
He's also a trained transcendental meditation teacher. But by far the funniest thing on his profile here is that he says that he once gave a briefing to CIA Director James Woolsey at a dinner party. Woolsey characterizes that briefing as him listening politely.
What else do we find out? Any other things about these ones?
Well, so the interesting thing for me about what Chelsea Manning was saying was she had like her own theories about what's actually going on. Because she was on like a podcast with like Bernie Sanders' old chief of staff and one of the guys from Chapo Trap House.
Yeah.
And I think that they were sort of responding to this critique from the left that this UFO disclosure was a military-industrial complex money grab. And she was saying she didn't think that like these were aliens in these unidentified aerial phenomenon, that they weren't like manned sources, but rather that they might be some sort of probe that had been sent out by an ancient civilization from across the stars.
Oh.
So you would like seed these self-replicating probes across the universe to send back data, and like this civilization might be long gone, so this data's not going to ever go anywhere. I guess for me, the thing is, like, if that's what is going on, why are we only ever seeing them around naval ships and military bases and Air Force carriers and things?
Or maybe the civilization sent it out there to check out what the fucking weapons
are like.
Shit is like on all these other planets. Like, you want to sit, like we want to find out, hey, do we need to defend ourselves against these things? Maybe they were thinking the exact same thing. Hey, we found this planet with life. We better go fucking figure out how powerful they are. Let's send some probes to check out their military bases and stuff.
I feel like if you've got a self-replicating probe, you can probably just hang out in space a little bit. Like, we can send up a tiny satellite into space and take pretty good photos these days. I feel like if we could make something that's self-replicated and fly across interstellar space, it could probably take a pretty good picture from a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you're if you are advanced enough to create seed the universe with self-replicating probes, like, you probably are not a warlike species. You probably don't care that much about our petty squabbles.
Or maybe that's all they care about.
Yeah. Or maybe they were once a warlike species and they were like, look, we know what war does to planets. We know that this planet's on a trajectory to fucking blow itself up.
So we're going to send some cameras down and
we're going to go have a look.
Back.
Because one of the stories I thought was cool was on that Sunday night thing was about the guy at the Australian.
No, it was someone in the US. It was
he was in the
nuclear weapon site.
Yeah, because he was the guy that he got the phone call and had to turn the key.
Yeah,
and the thing that came down to where they were came down to the gates and was hovering there, and then all of their systems shut down.
So what happened with this?
So he was the guy that sits underground in a bunker with a phone next to him.
Yeah. waiting
And
for the
if that
call from
phone
Joe
rings,
Biden.
yeah, he waits for it to pick up
It's
and
time to nuke.
he just goes, "Yep, do it." Turns the key, off the nukes go, right? So that was his job.
This was in the 50s, so it would
Yeah,
have
it
been.
was quite old.
Yeah.
And he was like, the phone rang one day, and it was the gatehouse or someone up on the surface saying, "Hey mate, something fucking weird's going on up here. Just be prepared for something because we don't know what's going to happen. There's this weird light or whatever they said happened." And then as that happened, all of the systems got shut down. So he couldn't have fired a nuke if he wanted to because whatever it was, well, his story was that whatever it was out there seemed to shut down all of their systems.
Mm.
So it's like maybe their drones, their self-replicating drones were like finding weapons bases and going, all right, if we need to intervene here, can we just rock up and turn it all off?
So his theory was they were trying to send a message that nukes are bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Enough of this nonsense, boys.
Yeah.
So did he quit that day? No, of course not.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, he didn't say.
It strikes me as strange that an interstellar intelligence would, even if like these are not intelligent drones that are just out here gathering telemetry, that they could distinguish between these very specific military targets and like the rest of everything that's going on.
How do you mean?
Yeah.
So like what's
advanced, mate?
What's the difference between a cruise ship and an Air Force carrier?
Different things they're carrying?
Guns.
Yeah, but how would you know if you were a drone in the air?
Scan it.
Yeah, scan it. Oh, it's guns.
Yep, that one's got radioactive warheads on it.
Yeah.
That's a nuke ship.
Drone tech is pretty good even here now. They're pretty good at seeing things from a distance. And
Well, I mean, I guess this is the other point. We talked about this on the news show the other day recently. There are some people that say that all of this stuff is just drones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're saying that, yeah, it's all Russia or China, and they don't want to admit that it's Russia or China.
And they make it a very convincing argument, I felt, was made for that, which seems to have been ignored entirely in this round of discourse. But yeah, this idea that it is all basically just Russia and or China buzzing American military installations to test out their ability to detect things. And it would make sense that the Pentagon or whoever would be in favor of removing the stigma about reporting this stuff, because it doesn't do them any favors if Russia or China have developed a way to have a drone come up to your ship that you can't detect. The only way you can detect it is by looking at it, and no one says anything.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, I think that's probably the most likely scenario. Although Chelsea Manning's ancient self-replicating drones thing seemed appealing to me, just the fact that they only go after certain things strikes me as a bit funny.
Yeah.
What I don't think is that it's a military-industrial complex money grab, because why would you do it via alien disclosure? It seems like there are much simpler ways to get money out of the Pentagon or whoever than convincing people that there's an alien war coming.
Presidents or Americans in power do not need incentives to fund military shit.
Yeah. In fact, there hasn't been any real drama with getting that money previously. So, yeah, that I don't buy that.
It's like their favorite thing.
Yeah.
just give the military as much money as they can, and that'll get you votes. Okay, so the other theory, and
can I just say one more thing about the military-industrial complex?
Absolutely.
So much was made of the Pentagon's UFO project, right?
Yeah.
It was $20 million, which is a lot to you and me. But in the grand scheme of the military-industrial complex, it's not that much money.
No.
And also, it wasn't really a Pentagon project. It was money that was appropriated by like the Senate committee, which had a bunch of UFO nuts on it. But like, it wasn't like the Pentagon was like, we need to set up a special task force. I think there's still quite a lot of pushback on the military side for treating this stuff seriously.
There seems to be quite a bit of a bravado coming into these reports now from the military guys, where if someone says, oh, this might not be true, they're like, well, we're military. Do you think we don't know what we see? I almost feel like it could be going the other way with a lot of people. They're too excited to report them and not kind of, not consider any other opinions.
Mm.
Any thoughts on that?
But
okay, because that Luis Elizondo guy,
yeah,
like if you read his like history, he's like, he's on record as saying, I've been involved in all sorts of like shady shit. I'm a tough guy. I've been doing all sorts of probably CIA things. Like he seems pretty braggy about it all.
Yeah,
and then I guess I did listen to a podcast with him and debunker Mick West, who does the Metabunk forums, and he's got some debunking videos about this, and they did a podcast, and he kind of put to Lewis all the theories and all his debunking, and Lewis is like, well, you don't have all the information that we have, so you don't know.
Yeah.
You think we'd be lying about this, or you think the army guys don't know what's unusual, and I feel like that's a bit of an easy cop out.
Yeah, well, so something Chelsea Manning said was that all of these things, like these, dodgy, grainy videos that they've released, that the military would also have super fine-grained, detailed telemetry of these things. So when we talk about radar, which I think we talked about a bit on the last episode too, I feel like we have a pretty dumb idea of what radar is, right?
There are lots of different sorts. So naval radar, I had a little bit of a look at this. Different types of radar are looking for different things at different heights, basically.
Yeah.
So some naval radar isn't looking for anything in the sky, so it won't pick up anything in the sky.
But apparently for like all of these things, they probably have like perfect 3D representations of exactly what shape it is and how fast it was going and all of this stuff.
Well, I don't think so, because a lot of them are super zoomed in. And a lot of the debunking videos or the debunking explanations for them, I guess debunking is probably the wrong word, the kind of people wanting to make a rational explanation do kind of go into measuring the distances between things and looking at the camera speed and how it's relative to everything else, and present a pretty convincing argument. I guess the Green Triangle one is a good example where at the time they were under the flight path of Boeing's international flights, basically, and the flashing lights on the triangle were the same timings as a Boeing plane,
and it just looks like someone's using a bokeh filter on their camera.
Yeah, and so what the and I think certain what do you call that lens? How it closes, the shutter, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I just said, but I used the right term.
Yeah. But so it creates a triangle.
Yeah.
So everything, all distant lights look like a triangle.
Yeah.
So you have a triangle that's flashing.
And that's what that looks like to me, because all of the other little specular highlights in that video also look like little tiny triangles.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's less a flying pyramid through the sky and more just an artifact. Which is kind of interesting in terms of like how we look at reptile videos. We're like, look at their eyes.
Yeah,
it's just dodgy camera.
I just put a little video in the chat there for you guys to look at. It's like 9 seconds.
Yeah.
It's triangle bokeh.
How do you spell bokeh for people at home?
BOKEH.
Excellent.
It's the shape that out of focus light makes in a camera. And you just put little discs on the front of your camera, shaped like a triangle or a star or a love heart, and it just changes how it looks.
Yeah, I guess Manning's point was not that they were deriving this information from the videos, but that as well as having like these sort of low res videos, they also had high res data because they have these other instruments. And I think she was sort of basing that on her own experience as an army intelligence person.
And the Pentagon aren't saying we need answers to this. They're just saying we don't know what it is, right? And they've probably chosen a couple of easy ones to release.
I think they aren't even saying we don't know what it is. I think they're just saying these are real videos.
Yeah, right.
Because, what Chelsea was saying is that they probably have this information they could release, but they don't want people to know how much they do or don't know about this stuff.
Yeah. And also they don't want to release all their technology, all the information they've got from technology, because that will also give insight to what they actually use.
Yeah, so I think they're in between a bit of a rock and a hard place, but then it doesn't really matter because as far as they're concerned, they can just be like, we don't care.
Yeah. If you haven't watched the Mick West videos about these, just Google it, and they're quite interesting. The other one I just want to mention is the Parallax, which is from the first 3 videos that To the Stars Academy released were called Fleur, Gimbal, and Go Fast. And Go Fast is an interesting one because it's they think his theory is that it's an effect called parallax, where if you zoomed in on an object super close from a distance and you're moving fast, it looks like that object's moving super fast.
Right.
And he's got some videos on his YouTube of like a ping pong ball hanging in his backyard, and he zoomed in on it and he's walking around, and it looks like the ping pong ball's just zooming across the yard basically, but he's just moving around the object. And when you look at that video, it's like, oh, that's exactly what that looks like. It's just a low flying thing moving slowly. So really interesting, those ones. Can recommend if you're interested in learning more about the maybe more rational explanations for these.
Also, parallax is a cool word.
It's a really cool word.
Yeah, very cool.
Because the only other explanation is aliens, right?
Yeah.
What about this Channel 7 thing? Did you guys have anything more about that?
They dove into the Westall sighting here in Melbourne, which I thought was cool. They had a bunch of the...
Was anything fresh?
No.
Well, no, but I hadn't really, I don't think, seen any of the people interviewed recently. So they interviewed a whole bunch of the students who were the students at the time, and they interviewed the teacher about it all, which I thought was pretty interesting.
We looked at that a lot on this podcast, didn't we?
Yeah. And
I went back and listened to one of the episodes, and I couldn't work out. I think we talked about it a couple of times.
I remember we did at least once.
But the crux of that Channel 7 doco, where he was saying, this incident has been erased from memory. No one talks about it.
Yeah.
But if
correction.
Yeah.
If you Google Westall UFO and go to news, there's pretty much 2 news stories a year every year.
Plus, how about the fucking UFO-shaped playground they built there?
It's very much
wiped off the face of the planet.
And I also talk about, we need answers, and no one's giving it to us. And it's like, who do you think's giving the answers? What do you want to happen? Do you want the government to launch a big thing to get your eyewitness testimony again? Because they've already got it.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do about it.
Well, they kept going on about how there hasn't ever been any actual investigation into it.
Yeah.
But the teacher said that, he got told to shut up by the government. But then also I don't know what the mob was he called, some department of the president or something, he said, from America also got in touch with him and wanted to know all about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there has to be an investigation if a lot of their stories are true.
Also, not a huge amount of follow-up from the Australian Men in Black. They're like, shut up about this, and he just won't shut up about it for the next 40 years.
The episode I went back and listened to of ours, we discussed this, and they only talk to people that are convinced they saw it. Out of the 200 people there, they've got 5 people that are convinced. But there's no one there that I know that not everyone there is convinced, but they always just kind of don't talk to them.
Yeah. But like, didn't they also work out that the girl who never came back just changed schools?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
also on the Channel 7 thing, there's a site in the States where apparently a UFO crashed and it like smashed into a rock face.
That's right.
And the host, the Channel 7 host, was like, I'm no geologist, but it certainly looks like something's hit this rock. It's like, well, go find a geologist then.
Yeah.
There's so many of them in America. And they love studying rocks. They could tell you immediately what's happened. But he did spend a lot of time interviewing people that didn't see it, people that talked to people that saw it. Those were his sources for this like confirmed alien crash. It was just so frustratingly ridiculous for primetime TV news.
I didn't watch. That was a lie. I saw on Facebook on one of the UFO groups, someone posted and said, "Oh, did anyone watch the thing on Sunday night?" And someone had commented saying, "Oh, absolutely the best Australian UFO content we've had in years."
Probably the only Australian UFO content we've had in years, right?
Yeah, they're going to buy that dude's book for sure.
Oh, he's got a book coming out, doesn't he?
Yeah. The show seems to actually just be a huge promotion for his book.
Just embarrassingly bad. Like, I do very low-level journalism in terms of food and drink. If I said, I'm no geologist, but here's what I guess, my editor would highlight that paragraph in red, cross it out and say, go find someone.
If you're like, this new beer come out by insert brewery here, I haven't tasted it, but I spoke to a bloke yesterday whose mate tried it.
Yeah.
And he said it was bloody great.
Yeah.
Buy it.
I wouldn't work again. My name would be Mud in this town.
Mudder.
Aw. I didn't really find too many cooked comments on YouTube vids about this. Did you guys find anything?
No, not really.
The only sort of cooked stuff I found was like on Above Top Secret. I jumped on to see what they made of it all, and they were so tired with this discourse. They're like, oh, here we go, more disclosure. Yeah, let's go. The same videos again, the same guys.
Well, they're the same. This is horseshoe theory. Us and them. We're tired of the theories too.
Yeah. But they're like, yeah, all right, yeah, this is great. Because, yeah, they're right. It is pretty bullshit.
Yeah. My thoughts on these videos are it's just mundane shit in the sky that is normal. Because aliens don't need to be this bad at it.
Yeah.
They
chuck a cloak on, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, we have had the same videos be like 4 or 5 different news cycles of there's new evidence of UFOs.
So the Pentagon is coming out with a report next month, or this month now that we record this. It's in June. So we're going to get them all again. And we're probably going to get them again later in the year, once the report's probably actually tabled properly.
Yeah, let's see what this report says. Like, Joe Biden's not going to disclose. Trump might have.
There was that tweet going around that aliens can't be real because it's the first thing Trump would have tweeted about once he learned.
No, the deep state wouldn't have told Trump, though.
Nah, you'd keep that guy out of the loop. They could put a report on his desk and it would never go anywhere. So
yeah. All right. Well, that is what we've got on the UFO discourse. More to come when this report drops.
The conclusion is Donald Trump, not good at reading reports.
Yep.
Fucking zinged him.
You can find us on Patreon. We're at Hypothetical Institute. And thank you to Tammy and Vanessa, our cooked $33 sponsors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robbo, where can they find you, mate?
You can find me at alofatime.com.
Salty?
You can get me at Saltmarsh on Twitter and Instagram, and andrewsaltmarsh.com for links to everything else.
And you can find me at Sexenheimer on Twitter. Yeah, Nah Passaran is my show on 3CR on Thursday afternoons. And I'm also doing a fundraiser for 3CR at the moment, which you can find through my pinned tweet on Twitter.
Nice.
So we're trying to make $800. And so I would appreciate it if everyone could just jump on and just do that so I don't have to like ask people for money anymore. It's my least favorite thing to do.
Do it.
Fair enough.
All right.
Don't worry
later.
Bye.
About a thing. Except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing. Except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing. Except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about a thing. I accept you can definitely hear John Lennon say I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing. Except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing. Except Donald Trump is clearly a woman, and you're just blind if you can't see that. Why don't you open your eyes?